Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference reaction for Manchester United versus FC Astana, and he's talked the talk. I think he's going to walk the walk. I think he's going to walk the walk with the youth. Really, really positive vibes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Some definitive news that Mason Greenwood will start. Remember, I said this on the preview last night. I'm 100% sure that Mason Greenwood will start. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed it, so that's nice to be right on that. Tuanzebe will start as well, and Romero will start in goal. So we've got 3 right from last night straight away. But he spoke about the youth. He said that this is their opportunity. Some of them were very, very close to starting the season after a good tour, and this will be their chance to come into the team. So very, very, very pleased with that. A little bit of injury news before we go into that, into a little bit more news, but got to be a positive that we're going to see those youth players. And how many we'll talk about in a minute, but there is some injury news. Dan James will not play. Daniel James will not play. That's a good and a bad thing. He shouldn't have been playing tomorrow anyway. Obviously, the bad thing is he can't play because he's got an injury. And does that put him out of the West Ham game? I don't know. But what it means is, with Greenwood starting, pretty much we'll probably see Rashford and Lingard in the front 3 with him. He could play Mata. I hopefully would expect him to see Chong. Of more concern, looking forward to that West Ham game, no Martial training today, no Luke Shaw. Well, Luke Shaw and Pogba did a little bit of light work. So the only 2 players who are back are Dalot and Lingard. Now, Dalot being back is a positive. I would really like to see Dalot playing tomorrow, because it means that we don't have to play Wan-Bissaka. You could play Rojo at left back, Wan-Bissaka would have a rest, and you could play Dalot at right back. That would be a big, big positive. We'll have to wait and see. Mark, where is your Borat costume, says Amy Assey? I'd imagine that's a little bit offensive for us all to dress up as Borat, to be honest with you. But talking about the Daniel James knock, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he can't play, but I saw a few people on social media saying, oh, straight away, this is the board's fault again. There's not been any signings in the summer. We didn't replace Lukaku or Sanchez. Dan James is injured. Martial is injured. Pogba is injured. We haven't got enough midfielders and we haven't got enough attackers. I agree. But in relation to the Europa League tie tomorrow night, it's not relevant. That's more of a Premier League issue. In the Europa League, in some ways, it forces him to play players that we want to play. This is where the youth have to step up. So I'm excited. I hope there's going to be some more. I really hope there's going to be some more. But Tuanzebe starts. Greenwood starts. Let's hope we can get a start for Gomez. Maybe even Chong as well. I really hope he does go down that route, because he spoke about the youth a lot. He spoke about them a lot. He said that there'll be some youth playing tomorrow, definitely. And obviously with Axel Tuanzebe starting, he said now is their chance. So very, very, very much talking the talk about the youth again. And a few questions directed about him, talking about Jose Mourinho. When he won the Europa League, he went with quite an experienced side, as did Jose in the Carabao Cup a lot of the time as well, because he wanted to win trophies. Ollie was asked that, are you going to go with youth? And he said, look, it will change week to week in the Europa League, because sometimes I might have to play the experienced players to give them game time. It changes for the players and it changes for the coach. But the talk is about the youth, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer didn't do anything to extinguish that. So I hope we're going to see more than Tuanzebe and Greenwood starting, because it's the perfect game. It's the perfect game for them. Welcome to Sean P, the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Just a very, very quick shout out as well. The link's in the video description. We're getting closer, just a month away now, to an evening with Ryan Giggs with the United Stand on October the 25th. Tickets still available. Get on the link in the video description. We're going to be on stage with the legend Ryan Giggs, asking him questions. You can be there, meeting, greeting, everything. So links in the video description for that. Get your tickets while you can. Greenwood will score, says Noel Francisco. Look, he spoke a lot about Mason Greenwood a lot. A very good question was put to him about Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood starts tomorrow, starts against Rochdale probably. Are you going to start him in Premier League games? And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, look, he's young. We don't want to put too much pressure on him. He's a young striker. He is still only 17. And I thought Ole Gunnar Solskjaer answered that well, because I think we've all got this demand that these young players play in the Premier League, because we believe in them and we want them to play. We believe they're better than some of these deadwood players that are still getting picked week in, week out. But they've got to take the opportunities first. And I think tomorrow night and Rochdale next Wednesday, they really are the stepping stone for them to show they're ready. I mean, you know what? Let's be honest, as football fans, we go on about this youth saying they're good enough. Does anybody actually know 100% they're good enough. I mean, Mason Greenwood's an amazing talent, but actually, in the games that he has played, i.e. Cardiff at the end of last season, he missed a hatful of chances. Now, nobody moaned about it because he's a young player and that's what it's all about. We're excited by him. But there will become a point where he's got to deliver. And we don't 100% know whether any of them are going to deliver. We all hope we all believe in them. So that's why tomorrow night and Rochdale are really, really important. Young Khan says, Viva Ronaldo, running down the wing, hear United sing. And we've also had a contribution from Jordan Such. He says, how's about he starts the youth in the Premier League, not against some blind team in the BTEC European competition? What odds Rashford, Lingard and Mata will start on Sunday? Lampard seems all right with starting the youth in the Premier League. I don't disagree with that comment, Jordan. I've got to be honest. I don't disagree with that comment. What I would say is, we've got a game tomorrow. Let's go into that game. Let's see what happens with that. Because I agree. I think some of these lads should have played in the Premier League already. But they haven't. We haven't got a Premier League game tomorrow night. We've got the Europa League tomorrow night. Hopefully they'll play in that. And if they play well, then it's more pressure for him to play them in the Premier League. But I don't disagree with you. I think they should have been played by now. How are you on this fine Wednesday afternoon, Mark? Says Ryan Mickelson. It is a fine Wednesday afternoon in the UK. It's beautiful, isn't it? And I'm very, very happy. I'm very happy. Positivity, people. Smash a like on the video. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference. I would say that's his best one of the year so far, of the season so far, because positivity, firm confirmation that Tuanzebe and Greenwood will start, firm confirmation that youth will play, and firm confirmation that this is the way he wants to build out. He spoke about what was the lad's name who played Charlie Willens. Charlie Willens trained with the first team today. He was asked a very, very straightforward question. Has he got any chance of being involved tomorrow? And he didn't say no, but he did really. But what he did say is, look, this is what we do at this football club. He'll be, Charlie will be made up with the fact that he's trained with the first team today, and we like to just bring a young player into the first team setup every now and again, let them train with the first team, give them a taste of it, then send them back to the youth setup, and that's what it's all about. And there was a lot of talk of that in the press conference about this is what Manchester United do. We bring the youth in, we play the youth, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself. We have questioned him on this channel, quite rightly. You have questioned him. A lot of people have questioned him, saying he talks the talk, but does he really walk the walk on the youth? Well, he was talking the talk again. He was saying, this is what I do everywhere I've been. Cardiff, Mulder, now Manchester United. I go with the youth. I trust the youth. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt there, because you do talk about it a lot. And we're not at that stage yet where you're talking about it and not using it. But tomorrow night's a big, 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 big thing. And it's got to be more than Greenwood and Tuanzebe, I must admit. Tuanzebe's been on loan at Villa. He's the third choice centre-back. We'll talk about him in a minute. I'd expect him to start. Greenwood could be a once-in-a-lifetime talent. You'd expect him to start. Let's see what he does with the Gomez and the Garner and the Chong. Let's see what he does with those tomorrow night. Zayn Mayasi says, Mark, you had to play your strongest team as it's only way for you to get into the Champions League, just like Arsenal. We will not be playing our strongest team, Zayn. And that has already been confirmed. With regards to Axel Tuanzebe, I would just say this. He spoke very, very glowingly about how he's going to be a centre-back. He came on as a midfielder for the last few minutes against Leicester. He wants to play centre-back, but he'll do anywhere there's a job that's required him. And I don't think enough. I put my hand up and say, look, I got this wrong. And we all get things wrong, but and it's good to accept it. I felt that Axel Tuanzebe needed to go on loan to a Premier League club this season, because I never saw him playing enough games, and first team training ain't good enough. He played well over 30 games for Villa last season, and it did him the world of good in the Championship, and he said that in the press conference. I'm talking about Tuanzebe because he was sat next to Ollie in the press conference today, because in the European ones they always do that. And he's chosen to stay at the club, and he was asked about that, and he said, I could see the vision. Having spoken to the club, I could see my vision and my pathway, so the decision was right to stay at this football club. And the reality is, he is the third choice centre-back. We've seen it because he's been on the bench when Jones and Smalling's obviously gone and Rojo haven't. He's come on off the bench at the weekend when Jones could have come on. Axel Tuanzebe is Manchester United's third choice centre-back. And actually, if somebody said that to me in the summer, I would have said, don't put him on loan. I could see him being behind Jones and Smalling and hardly playing at all. As the backup centre-back, he's totally right to stay at Manchester United. Yeah, he might not play as many games, but he will play games, and he's going to play games. He's going to be playing probably 2 or 3 games a month until Christmas, just because of the Europa League and the Carabao Cup. So, look, Really, really, really excited. Really excited. And he comes across as a really domineering personality as well. To be honest with you, I was listening to Ollie, and then they suddenly spoke to Axel, and his voice is booming. It was like, wow, you take up and take notice. And as a centre-back and a big lad, I hope and I really believe he's got a good future at Manchester United. Again, baby steps. Let's see what he can do. You've always got to give that youth a sort of buffer of mistakes, really, because you're going to get that as part of any growth. But I spoke about it before, didn't I? We spoke about this on the podcast about Lindelof versus Tuanzebe. Make sure you listen to the podcast, actually. Really good this week. Links are in the video description for that. But we were talking about Tuanzebe versus Lindelof. And I'm like, Lindelof and Maguire for now. But if Tuanzebe is going to take Lindelof's place, I want him to take it because he plays so brilliantly well in the Europa League and the Carabao Cup. And then he pushes him out. Ollie did play young players for Mulder. Haaland was one of them, says Max Up. Well, Haaland scored how many goals last night for Salzburg? Was it 3? Was it 4? He was mentioned to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in a question in the press conference about Haaland. And Ollie was just very, dismissive in many ways. Not in a nasty way. He was just like, very, very pleased for him. But, my focus is Manchester United. So obviously doesn't want to be talking about signing a player like that at the moment. And why would we need a player like him at the moment? Ollie is going with Greenwood, Martial and Rashford. Zayn Mayasi says, Mark, why don't you have an evening with Ronaldo? I got a shirt signed from him. He's a legend. Yeah, I'll just ring Ronaldo up and say, do you fancy doing an evening with Mark Goldbridge and the United Stand? We'll do it down the local pub in Birmingham. Mark, don't you think we should put the regulars on so they will get more confidence and use it in the league, says Toma Trebelsi? No. I mean, look, that's your opinion. That is your opinion if you want to do that. But I don't want to see that happening. I want to see Manchester United playing the youth so that the youth can start to get involved in the team. He said that Fred will be involved. I didn't really pick up that Fred will start tomorrow, and that might be a positive because I think Fred actually should be starting against West Ham. I think Fred starting against Astana would be a big indication that he won't start against West Ham. But Ollie said he'll be involved, so whether he'll be on the bench or not, I don't know. Maybe give him half a game or something like that. Obviously, Romero starts in goal. I don't know what you lot think about Romero starting in goal. I understand it. Romero is a very good backup goalkeeper and he needs game time. But I suppose my only issue with it is, if you're only going to play De Gea in the Premier League, he's only going to play 38 games a season. If Romero's going to be the cup goalkeeper, he could play well over 15. So he could play up to 20. So it's just like, if Romero's the Europa League goalkeeper, is De Gea the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup goalkeeper? I don't know. And I think in the latter stages, you should play your best goalkeeper. But that's a problem for the future. And I know a lot of people like Romero, but my opinion is, if we get deep into the Europa League, and that's going to be a route into the Champions League, you should play your best goalkeeper. It's like having a drive in a Ferrari or having a drive in a Vauxhall Astra. Steph Chadwick says, what do you think of Callum Wilson in January, Mark? I can see it and think we could blood Greenwood on the right wing. I would wait for a centre midfield next summer. Steph, I wouldn't go near Callum Wilson. Bournemouth are already quoting 70 million for him. I mean, they're having a bloody laugh. He's 27. No thanks. Going back to the Europa League, though, very interesting thing that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said. He said the home games are going to be very important because we've got 2 away games that will be played on AstroTurf. Presumably, and not conclusively, those games will be Astana and the Belgrade game. But I hadn't realised that we were playing on AstroTurf for those games, which can be problematic. Of course they can. And also we had a little bit of a chat about the fact that look, we're on Wednesday. We've got a game on, just for a moment, let me just talk about the injuries. We're playing on Wednesday. We're playing on Thursday. Obviously no Pogba, Martial or Shaw in that one. But none of those train today. They may train tomorrow. I'm a little bit worried about that West Ham game. With all due respect, Astana, we're going to win that game. And it's exciting because we're going to see the youth. But that West Ham game, that's your bread and butter. And Manchester United have got to win that game as well. And we're going to struggle to win that game with the team that played against Leicester because it's not good enough. So we need Martial back. And Martial's injury he's not even doing any light work yet. So I don't think Martial's back against West Ham, which means he's missed 3 of our first 6 games. So he's missed 50% of our games if he doesn't play on Sunday. And that is becoming a problem. You need Martial playing. Pogba, I think Pogba will play on Sunday. He's doing a little bit of light work. I think he will play. But these injuries, I mean, will Dan James be back? Dan James, for everyone joining us a bit late, is out of the Astana game with injury. He's got a knock. It's only Wednesday. He could be over a knock by Sunday. But we need these players back playing. And injury problems, they just won't go away from Manchester United. Trust in youth, I say, says Daniel Brinley. P.S. Zane is a closet United fan with how much he spends on Super Chats. Yeah, I think you're right about that. We must play Romero, says Marky. And Mark, what about Diego Costa, says Zane Marassi. What about him? He's got nothing to do with my football club. I agree with everyone wanting Greenwood to go up front, but not the wing, says Osman. I mean, that's a very good point. Greenwood starts tomorrow. I think he's got to play straight down the middle. Straight down the middle. And if I don't know whether I can do this. I'm going to cover myself up here. If this works. There you go. Yay! Look, I've covered myself up. So that there. Can we move it across? No. Can we move it across? We can. So that team there, it's very Jorty'd go mad. But that team there is the team I went with last night on the preview. So Romero in goal, Jones and Tuanzebe, Wan-Bissaka, Matic, Rojo, Gomez, Fred, Lingard, Greenwood and Chong. Well, we know Greenwood starting. We know Tuanzebe starting and we know Romero starting. If Delo is fit, don't play Wan-Bissaka, play Delo there. I'd stick with that same back four. Play Matic because I don't want him playing on Sunday. Yes, Fred can start, or he could start Pereira maybe. Maybe start Pereira because Pereira's not going to play against West Ham, I don't think, and Fred should. Gomez should start, Chong should start, and Lingard can start. And I'd be very happy with that team. So we definitely know, confirmed, that Romero, Greenwood and Tuanzebe will start. And I tell you what, I'll mock the Europa League, right? Because I can't be a flip-flop. And Ollie was asked a very good question about, you know, with all due respect, you're playing Astana, you're playing in Holland, you're playing in Belgrade. But, you know, tonight it's PSG versus Real Madrid. Last night there was some cracking games. Do you want to use this? Do you want to... What they basically said, do you want to glamorise this tournament or do you want to sort of make your players be hungry to play in the Champions League? And Ollie answered it very well. He said, look, I don't need to necessarily do that. You know, the lads will have watched the Champions League last night like anybody does from any division. And that's your aspiration and that's your dream. You know, you're aware when your rivals are winning trophies and you want to be doing that. So... good answer by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I will mock the Europa League. It's the Emmerdale Cup. It's Thursday night football. It's not great. It's not great. I'd rather have it than nothing. I'd rather have this than be Leicester, who are playing one game a week. I want European football. And if you can't have Champions League, I'm very grateful that the Europa League is there. But it ain't the Champions League. And it's hard. It's hard as a United fan to not be in the Champions League. And it should be hard. We should feel ashamed and embarrassed and upset about it. Of course we should. But... the ideal scenario is starting to fall into place. If we've got to play in this tournament, and it can be a good tournament, it's still European competition. If we're going to play in this tournament, excite us. Give us something to want to watch. And tomorrow night, we'd watch it anyway, but we have got that something to watch. We have got Mason Greenwood starting. We have got Axel Tuanzebe starting. We have got, hopefully, either a Gomez or a Chong or maybe a Garner playing as well. And that makes it very, very exciting. And that's going to make Thursday nights exciting because the Premier League will take care of itself. But if in these cup competitions, we're going to get some of these youngsters playing, it's going to make it maybe even more exciting than some of the Premier League games, to be honest with you. Brandon B says, I think the Europa League and the Carabao Cup is a blessing in disguise this season. This gives Ollie a chance to use the youth and rotate the squad. He did mention that the full squad will be rotated after the first international break. Brandon, you know what? I remember the days under Sir Alex, and you'd play Carabao Cup or the League Cup or whatever it was called. You'd play Champions League and you'd play the League. And this period could get a little bit, not boring, but a little bit repetitive because beyond the first team, your team's not that great, not that interesting. So, you know, you're watching the Europa League or the League Cup and you'd be seeing people like Mata and Matic and Jones. Whereas now, because we've shredded some of that dead wood, we've got rid of Valencia, we've got rid of Darmian, we've got rid of Lukaku, we've got rid of Sanchez and Fellaini. We've now got the next line, a lot of it is the youth, and that does make it very exciting. So, look, if that's what we're going to do, that's what we're going to do. No way, says AZ Alkmaar are too good. We'll be playing them in a few weeks. We'll need to be we'll be playing them soon. Daniel says Angel Gomez needs to play the most. Look, if I was to say to you in the live comments, we know Greenwood starting, But which youth player do you really want to see starting tomorrow? And for me, it would be Angel Gomez. I would be excited. I'm one of the people who likes Tahith Chong, by the way. I know there's a lot of people out there who aren't convinced by him. I really do like Chong. But I would also say that we are in a situation whereby, I'd like to see Garner as well. But I think Gomez is the player. Gomez almost isn't a youth player anymore, even though he is. Because Gomez is a player that we've known about for a long time. We believe he's an amazing talent. We know he's a little bit small, and there is a little bit of a prejudice towards smaller players in football in general, which is wrong. It doesn't matter how small you are. The best player in the world is small. Eden Hazard's small. It doesn't matter if you're small. Play him. And I don't think Ollie's not playing him because he's small, by the way, but he is the player that we want to see play. And as I said before, Angel Gomez could play the next 10 games and be bang average. But at least as fans you go, yeah, he's just another Lingard. He's not actually going to be that good. But I think we all know that's not the case. And I think it's about time we started seeing him play. And I'm not too sure. Mourinho sort of ignored him. Ollie's not really played him in a big game yet. Tomorrow night's a big opportunity to do it. And I, for one, hope that he does. Okay. And Zayn Miassi says, Mark, will you do Glazers? Will you go on in Glazers' private jet with them to watch United play? Zayn, I think you're a bit weird today. You're very, very weird. Mark, I see Tuanzebe plays in midfield. Would the crisis we have there, says Stephen Addy. Tuanzebe will be playing as a centre-back tomorrow. 100%. 100%. Loads of people watching this lunchtime, so please do smash a like on the video. We'll just take some of your questions as well. I think Champions League is a necessity for us next season, says Freddie Mercury. Hey, if you want to sign Jadon Sancho, you got to get Champions League football. I think if United get Champions League football, they'll get Jadon Sancho next summer. I think he'll be the big United signing next summer. But you've got to get Champions League football. And at this point, it's not definite. The biggest game we've got this week in relation to Champions League football is West Ham on Sunday. And that's why we need Pogba and Martial back. Jordan Such says, come March, if United are out of a top 4 race, would Ollie still play the youth in Europa, in your opinion, Mark? Jordan, the interesting thing is, if we're out of the top 4 race in March, but we're still in the Europa League, I wouldn't be opposed to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer putting his strongest team out in the Europa League. Whatever that strongest team is. Because by then, it could be Gomez. It could be Greenwood. But let's say it's not. Let's say it's Martial and Rashford and Lingard and Pogba and McTominay and Pereira or whoever. I don't mind that team playing in the Europa League to give us the best chance of winning the Europa League. But what you can't do is play that team on a Thursday and playing it on a Sunday. So what he'd have to do then on the Sunday in the Premier League is play Greenwood and Gomez and everyone. So that's the great positive we have now. The squad is big, but it's made up of youth. And if you play a strong team on a Thursday, you've got to play the other lot on the Sunday. So it could flip itself around, but as long as the youth are getting games and they're not meaningless games in the bloody under-23s, then we benefit either way. So good point, but I don't think it will matter too much. And we might have to do that. I mean, United should get to the final of the Europa League. Obviously, we don't know who's going to drop down, but I think the strongest team that's going to drop down is either Inter, Dortmund or Barcelona, because they're all in the same group. When you look at all the other Champions League groups, unless there's a real shock of one of the big teams dropping out, most of the teams that are going to come down, you'd expect United to beat them. So United should be looking to get to the final. And I would imagine Arsenal would be looking at that the same. Metal Music Reviews, Gomez on age alone should be a fringe bench player. There's got to be some reason why he isn't getting the time. Let's see what happens tomorrow. We're getting closer to 1,000 likes, everybody. Please do smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, bottom right-hand corner. Just a little bit of a heads up as well, just where I remember, there's no live 8 o'clock show tonight. So your only live Goldbridge input today is going to be me now. There is a video going up at 7 o'clock. It's Blood Brothers episode 3 for the United Stand FC game. That will be going up tonight. But if you want to join me live, I will be live on That's Football at 8 o'clock. I'm watching PSG versus Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid versus Juventus. Last night I did Liverpool and Napoli and Dortmund and Barcelona. So if you're watching Champions League football tonight, you want to join me for a watch along, you can join me on That's Football. Mark Goldbridge, That's Football at 8 o'clock. Obviously tomorrow, we'll be live on here with a watch along for the United Stand for the FC Astana versus Manchester United game. Mark, you should have sold Dyer and used that to buy Bruno Fernandes and Jadon Sancho, says Zayn Miassi. Yeah, Zayn, you're getting worse. You're actually getting worse. Chelsea could drop down into the Europa League, says Chichochu. I don't think they will. Dortmund were good last side, says Mr. K. Yeah. And look, thanks everybody for watching. Please do smash a like, and I will see you tonight at 8 o'clock on That's Football Live if you're going to join me for the watch-alongs on the Champions League. But final word, listen to the podcast. Links in the video description. Really good podcast with me and Flex yesterday. Exclusive content on there that we don't mention on YouTube. An hour long, so you can listen to it when you're at school or at work. And also, links in the video description. I don't know how many people know about this, but next month we've got an evening with Ryan Giggs on the United Stand. It's our next get-together. We did London a couple of months ago on Transfer Deadline Day. We're doing Ryan Giggs, not literally, that would be horrible. We've got an interview with Ryan Giggs on stage on October the 25th. The link is in the video description. It's an evening with the United Stand and Ryan Giggs. Get your tickets, link in the video description. It's going to be brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You can get pictures and autographs with me and maybe Ryan Giggs if you want. But yeah, link in the video description for that. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all soon.